So welcome. Action to authenticity. So at any time, you could always text me with a question at 541-954-4685. Because I apologize you're not coming up like you did last time. I knew there was going to be technical difficulties, but I'm just going to go right through it. There's going to be a PDF file that you can get on all my lovely notes, which is an outline form that I learned in high school that I love. Again, my name is Linda Burden Williams. Action to authenticity. I am going to want you to get a pencil and a paper for this session because I'm going to start off with a question. This question is to put us on the same page. What does authenticity mean to you? Okay, because everybody has a different definition of authenticity or different words, and it's always wonderful to share those words with everyone. Today, I'm not sure we're going to be able to share that because I'm not getting your feedback online like I was hoping for. But I can go ahead and share some of the other ones I had last time. So take that moment right now. Authenticity, what is that to you? 3 to 5 words. Okay, so I hope that you have 3 to 5 words on that. And then I'm going to actually have a definition of authenticity out of the dictionary. It's quite interesting. Definition of authenticity is the degree to which one is true to one's own personality, spirit, and or character, despite external challenges and pressures. So what does that mean? That kind of says the true self is who you are despite all of the external pressures that we're under every day, and our social lives that we keep up, our business lives, our government, and our media. We'll get into all of that. The conscious self is seen as coming to terms with being in a material world and with encountering external forces, pressures, and influences which are very different from and other than itself. So authenticity isn't about the external pressures or influences. It's actually different than that. So I found that very interesting. So we're dealing right now with the definition of authenticity. Someone else just popped on. So being your true nature, even with the external challenges of our times. Okay, so I am going to interchange true nature and authenticity back and forth for this workshop, okay? So let's start looking at our true nature. So I'm actually going to go all the time until we are conceived. We live in the womb of our mom, and we can already be influenced by our the hormones and everything that is going through our mom. And if something drastic happens to her, these hormones will shoot through our bodies. If she's having a tragic event or her life isn't very happy, we'll already start getting some of that influence inside of the womb. I would like to think that that's a safe, well-protected place, which it is. And at the same time, we can be influenced by some of the external things that our parents are going through at that time, or especially our mom. So that's before we even take our first breath. Then we come out and we start breathing and we experience the world. Ah! It could be fright, you know. We scream, exhilarating scream, because all of our senses come out and totally have a new influence. We never felt air before. We never had air go into our lungs. We never felt our skin in the air. It's always been in liquid. So our sensories are taking the nature in as quick as possible. Our little brain is a sponge, and we're learning out what's safe. You know, if we cry and we reach and we wiggle and we try to be comfortable, but all of this is in the process of finding our true nature, where we are. So this is so dependent on where you're born. Think of being born in the Congo, and maybe you're born and you're sitting there and there's flies all over and you never really got to get cleaned up. Your sensory perception is going to be different than if you were born in one of the very best hospitals in New York City, or I mean, even if you're in a small residential area. My son was born in Mount Vernon. It's a lot smaller hospital, and things were different there. So even where you are born is going to start influencing you deeply. The other thing about being influenced deeply is, what is your mom eating? And are you being nursed, or is she mixing a formula? All these are starting to develop your conscious effort of being in this world and being safe. Our survival is really important. So it's authenticity, true nature, survival. It's programs that are imprinted in our minds. And then we start making decisions as soon as we have cognitive thinking. Well, if I do this, mommy comes to me. If I do this, she's not very happy with me, or the opposite. So we start learning how to manipulate the world from our need for survival. We also want to be seen and heard and loved and held. And if those things aren't happening, different things, imprints started happening. Well, it's not okay to do that because mom says it's not okay. So you might start hiding that. So I want to go back into my own life and tell you about circumstances where I made a decision at 3 years old. So I want you to think about you, and if there's some decisions that you have made along the way that you might still be using that aren't useful for you anymore. So this decision that I made when I was 3 years old was to be safe in my life, in my childhood at 3 years old. I just had to do whatever my mom and dad said. I didn't have a choice in how I felt about something, or if I tried to speak my mind, they wouldn't hear my point of view. And I kind of got betrayed. My mom didn't take care of me, and my dad got overzealous in a punishment in front of people. So there was a lot of decisions I made at that point that it wasn't safe to be me. Dad has expectations of me, and if I don't do that, I could get hit again or beat or whatever happened. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember. I totally spaced it. I totally went blank. And then my mom wasn't there to protect me from this force. So I lost all of my safety from my mom and my dad. So at that point, I felt like I was in an alien place, and I had to take care of myself. And the decision was just to do what they say, whether I don't believe in it or not. So I started hiding myself. I started creating a false self inside, saying words, well, that's not the way I would do it, or whatever. But I started a division in my true nature, my authenticity, and who I thought people wanted me to be. I started pleasing everyone. If I went somewhere, I would try to figure out what they wanted me to do so that I could fit into that situation. It's very uncomfortable. It's no way to live. And it didn't serve me as a teenager, in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or now. And I kept that. So learning to be my authentic self is something that I had to retrain myself and go, is that really what I believe? No. So I've given up that past decision, and I know it was only out of my survival. I don't blame them for that. I just know that that's what I had to do. So I want you to take a look at yourself and think of some imprints that might have happened to you and decisions that you might have made that really don't serve you anymore, and you might still be living in them. They might be judgments or pleasing people, or it's not okay to say this, say that. So that's something you can do in your homework, because we're going to move on right now. So, and then that was for survival. I mentioned that. And also think of all of the energy it takes to have that false presentation all the time. If they really knew who I was, they would never like me. I mean, how many people have had that thought? If they really knew me, they wouldn't want to know me. I think it's almost a human condition situation that we have that. When my handbook comes out for the human being handbook, that might be in it. So I just want you to think about that too. So it takes a lot of energy to have a false self. Now we're going to go into why. Why true nature? Why do we want to do this work? We could stir up things and we have to deal with things we might not want to deal with. We have to come face to face with our demons or our past or forgiveness or things like that. So why? Because we want to be true to ourselves. I don't want to leave this earth and not be true to me. Think about that. Leaving this earth and you never knew who you were, or you didn't allow yourself to be who you were. It's very sad. Self-worth. Our self-worth. What is self-worth? It is not others' opinion. It's our self-worth to ourselves. And what are we worth and worthy? Because we are here, we have a right and a purpose to be here and a right to share who we are with others. Okay, that's why we want to find our true nature. Connection. Our connection to who we are, connection to the ecosystem around us. Think about this. In my heart of hearts, I've always felt if we all did what we really loved and were compassionate about, everything would be taken care of like the ecosystem. But we're all mixed up. Some people are doctors and they don't want to be doctors. Other people are working in trash and they don't want to be in trash, but there's other people that want to be in trash. I believe everything would be taken care of if we allowed our true nature to come about, because that's the system that we live in, that we were created in. We were created in an ecosystem that supports itself. We have the air to breathe. We have food and shelter and gravity that holds us here. And we have a mind and compassion. And if we do what we were passionate about, everything would be taken care of. Think about that concept and what you might be limiting your true nature of giving and serving everyone from. So that's really important to find our true nature, which goes on to a congruent life. Because you have a false self, you're not congruent with who you are. You're always fighting, you're always divided. But if you can be congruent with who you are, congruent in your life, and that moves into your business, then you can have an authentic business congruent with who you are, and it's not sucking you out of all the energy to be something that you're not. Does that make sense? It does to me, because I can take a lot of energy to not be who I am. Actually, if I'm true to myself like I am right now, I have more energy to share than I would if I was trying to be non-authentic and make it up, okay? So, and that's in alignment with my values of compassion and love and belief that we're all here for a reason and we belong to a system that is working. If you have a spiritual life, that's fine. But if you don't, and you just love nature, and you know that we're all here and we're taken care of, nature can be your spiritual life. We cannot doubt that our bodies work here and they work great, okay? So our values go along with this: love, compassion, service to other people. So we can bring that in. And I mentioned our purpose again, acceptance of who we are. Acceptance of how we were created, what our body looks like, what our body is doing right now, and having a purpose of being authentic through the body that we were given. It's really an important thing. I'm going to take this message just in case it's something that I need to know. So it's just perfect. So some people are hearing me. I'm so excited. I just wish I could see you guys so I could share with everything. Clarity. If you can be authentic, you'll have more clarity in what your desires are. Your values will become clear, and then you can move forward in clarity, in congruency with your authenticity and with service to others. And that includes your business also, as an actor or a non-actor, okay? Confidence. Oh my gosh, could this have anything to do with confidence? Are you kidding me? It's like the threshold of confidence. Egoless confidence. Think about that. Egoless confidence. It's confidence beyond ego, confidence beyond who you are in this world. It's that safe, authentic, valued confidence that's there, allowing and accepting other people for who they are and not having to defend yourself all the time. Confidence beyond ego. That's something we'll work on at another time because that's a big deal. Then you will come up with a strength that you can move forward in your life. That creates power in your speech, in your body, and moving forward, and safety. So we're going to talk a little bit about safety. As I told you the story about me not feeling safe in my environment, I divided myself and made a false self, and then the authentic self felt it always had to defend itself and hide. So let's look at that, what happens in as an adult when you don't feel safe. You start covering up. This might become addiction. It might become hiding, going inward, being scared to go out there. Your brain might freeze. I mean, really, your brain might freeze, okay? Flight, fight, or freeze. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody confronts you and your brain freezes? I've had that, and it's totally awful. You stand there and you can't say anything because all of your inners are just going, and you're choked. You can't. Your brain is frozen because it's not okay to be yourself. It's not safe to be yourself. We have to find that safety within ourselves to be safe, so we can be authentic and move and push through into the life that we love and create a better world. Okay, this is for everyone. It's not just for you. It's for everyone. I'm so excited about that. So finding a safe place. Why connection? That's how we build relationships with the other. We connect with the other person because why? Because we find common ground. So I told you a story earlier. Maybe some of you can find common ground in that story. It might be middle school that you found a place where you felt stifled or shut down, and you said, well, I'm never going to do that again because people don't like it. Okay, so I told you a story, and that can build a relationship because we have common ground. So that's connection. We're all connected. That might make me relatable. I did, what's relatable? I was little once. I was a toddler, a teenager. I went to middle school. I had my problems. We can all find relatable ideas to with each other and in our business also. It's really important. And then we can understand. We can open our heart with compassion and understand where the other person is coming from when we're connected, okay? We don't have to be defensive about that. Building friendships like that. Having empathy for the other person. You know what that's about. When somebody else is speaking of a feeling and it touches your heart, you could be joyful, you could be sad, you could feel their pain because you felt that pain. That actually puts us on a pretty level playing field. If you're ever around someone and you're feeling, oh my God, they're better than I am, they have more money, their position, whatever, your brain might freeze. But if you think, wow, this person has suffering like I do, they have loss like I do, there's been things in their life that have just not been the best. That suffering is actually a level playing field that you can feel compassion for someone that might be on TV all the time, and then you get a chance to meet them. Everybody is a human being, and everybody has suffering. Too much money, that doesn't mean they're happy. Fame and fortune definitely doesn't mean that they're happy, okay? So it gives you something to level the playing field. Also, it helps you build confidence. Connection gives you growth and knowing that other people are growing at the same time. Your feelings, heartfelt, your intuition. All of this safety and support can help your intuition. I'm going to read something about a definition about intuition right now, which is quite astounding, I think, because intuition is our gut feeling, right? Okay. Intuition, from the dictionary, is the ability to acquire knowledge without inference or the use of reason. How fun is that? You don't always have to know everything. You just walk in and trust your intuition. Inner contemplation, inner perception regarded a lucidity or understanding. That means you're in a situation and something comes to you. It's kind of like improv. It's spontaneous. The ability to understand something immediately. Without the need for conscious reasoning, okay? So if you start walking down a street and you get this gut feeling, go, you know, I'm not feeling safe here. I'm going to turn around and leave instead of pushing through and go, oh, well, that's just nonsense. The more you're authentic, the more you know your true nature, the more your intuition will allow your body to use that. And that's a great thing with clients, with friendships, with going into a new situation. A thing that knows or considers likely from instinctual feeling rather than conscious reason. Direct perception of truth, fact, independent of any reasoning process. Immediate. Okay, it's immediate, and that's quite interesting, I think. So your intuition can start working better when you know your authentic self. You find safety within that authentic self in your intuition, and clarity becomes a place that you live in naturally, congruently in your life. So now, the other thing about this is connection and your true nature. In the human handbook that I'm writing, there would be, everybody wants to be seen and heard. Of course, everybody wants to be touched and held and respected, but seen and heard. Finding a place that is safe to be seen and heard can change your life, can turn your life around. When I started acting, I found a place where I could be seen and heard, and this false self that I had created my identity around could come out, and then this fake self just started disappearing, and I became congruent with who I truly am and my intuition. Of course, it's a lifelong process. It didn't happen and then I'm done. It's ongoing. Different things come up all the time, but I'm not afraid to face. I'm not afraid to face them. I don't freeze. I don't run away, and I don't try flight. I sit in the uncomfortableness. A lot of people don't want to do that, and sometimes the human nature wants us to not think that. We always want happiness. So sitting in uncomfortable situations doesn't really create happiness. But coming and sitting in the discomfort and knowing that it's impermanent and it will pass does bring happiness and comfort within yourself, being safe and authentic. So now we're going to move into the whole thing of action. Okay, action to authenticity, right? That's what this talk is about. So I'm not able to hear what you guys have put for your traits or what you thought authenticity meant. So we're going to move that into a minute, but I want the actions, showing up. Everybody goes, oh, showing up is enough. Well, these days showing up isn't enough. You need to show up, and you need to show up in the positive state of your showing up. It just isn't good enough anymore. You need to be authentic. You need to know who you are and show up authentic. Why show up when you're tired and you're depressed and you didn't want to get out of bed and you're at a networking event at 7 o'clock in the morning and your car needed gas and you look around and go, why am I here? I don't see the point of showing up like that. I really don't, because I don't want to be around that person. I want to be around a person that said, oh my God, I got up at 7 o'clock. Did you know I saw birds I've never even seen before because I was up so early? It was so awesome. So designing how you show up, that's an action. We take action, we show up, and we design who shows up. We design our authentic self from our true nature, and that's what we do. Developing a congruent presence. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about too, congruency. If you have those feelings of depression, or I really don't feel like I want to go there, or I'm too tired, listen to that. Sometimes you need to listen to that, because if you push yourself beyond your limits, you're going to cause illness and sickness and discomfort, and you're not going to be happy. And then the next thing you do, you don't have enough energy to do it to your full potential. So do you see how these are kind of signs? If you don't want to show up, don't show up. It might be to your best advantage. Sometimes I think those things happen for a reason, because you might have gotten in a car accident on the way there. I have a story around that too. I was in LA and I was tired and I really needed to close my eyes and just be with myself for a minute. But no, I'm in LA and I want to do something fun. So I get in the car. It was a rent-a-car. I turned up the radio, tried to get my energy going. And I backed into somebody in the gas station and they just blew up. And I went right into my authentic self and said, I am so sorry, but that happened. Let's move on from here. And she was just in this rage. Why would you do this? My daughter's having a baby. I just kept congruent with myself and go, I am so sorry. I did it. Let's move on. By the time that incident had happened, she was asking me why I was here, and we had a connection between each other. But if you're outraged about something that happened, you're not accepting the circumstances, and you're living in this, how can you connect with somebody? I should have stayed in the hotel room, taken a nap, or did some yoga or a meditation. So listening to yourself is really important. And so that's an action that you can take, is taking care of yourself. You are your brand. Okay, so I showed up today. I actually thought, what am I going to wear? What do I look like when you see me? I want to show up as my brand. My brand is enthusiasm, service to you. I want the best life for you. That's how I can show up. I can show up clean, with my hair clean. I had to wash my hair specifically to come here. What's that about? Okay, so you are your business and your life. Someone told me a little story about, yes, you are your business, because if you go outside your business and you're on your cell phone and you're spitting and snorting and smoking your cigarette and then put your cigarette down on the ground and crush it and leave that is not good for the business or your business. So wherever you are your business. Not meaning you have to dress up to go to the grocery store or anything like that, or present yourself, but connect with yourself and understand what other people are going through. I love talking to people at the grocery store. I love coffee people. I love people on the street, and I wave at them because I know that they're having a day. I'm having a day. Let's have a day, okay? So that's your business and your life. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. That's a tough one, because I have a great big room filled with stuff, and I'm hoping I'm not carrying all my stuff and putting it on everyone else, because that's not what I want to do. I can take care of my stuff and you can take care of your stuff. Okay, so I am taking care of my stuff, but how you do one thing is how you do everything. That could be a whole workshop within itself, so think about that. The other thing I went over is seen and heard, an action to be seen and heard. And one thing I want to talk about being seen and heard is sometimes you need to be quiet. If you're not being seen and heard, maybe you're not listening. So one day I noticed I wasn't being heard. I was in a conversation and I'd say something and it would just go, and I'm going, how come they're not listening to me? You know, I just watched the conversation go around, and then I just stopped and I watched the conversation. I didn't need to say anything in that conversation. I was sitting back and watching. It was very interesting. So sometimes being seen and heard is about shutting up. Who knew? Okay, so some of the actions we're going to do right now, those are actions that you can do, but we're going to do a little thing, you know, paper. So traits. We're going to develop a sentence in this webinar. Oh yeah, we've got plenty of time. Okay, so we're going to develop a sentence that you can take with you when you show up so that you can remember your authentic self. Because what we're doing now is we're changing pathways in our brain. You know, neuroplasticity, our brains are wonderful creatures that could change, and actually through meditation and learning and stress release, you can actually, they're starting working on DNA. They said, oh, I think you can change your DNA. So it's really important to know that if you think you're so stuck in these pathways, just are taking you down the same road over and over, they don't have to, okay? Your brain is like plastic, and it molds and you can manipulate it. And those deep ruts you have of, I'm no good, I'm not good enough, I can't do that, I can't go there, I can't do that, I can't blah, blah, blah. They are actually ruts in your brain. But your brain can be manipulated and changed and actually grow different parts and release pressure, and it's just amazing. So developing traits that you want to show up with from your authentic self and from your values, you might need some reminding to change a new pathway. That will change the way your hormones go through your body. It will change what your face looks like, and everything is quite miraculous. Okay, so with your pencil and paper, I'm going to run through some ways to get traits that you would like. Think of people that you admire. So right now, think of people that you admire and write down a couple of their traits. I'm going to do it too. One more. Let's see. Traits that I admire in other people. Okay, so if you guys feel like it later, I would love to have you email these to me at linda@infocusacting.com. So, or text me them. I'm going to share the three that unstoppable, compassionate, and enthusiastic. Those are traits I love. Compassionate, I can, think of Oprah. A lot of horrible things have happened to her. Does she let them bother her? No. She moves on with compassion for others. And I think that's a trait that I really admire. Compassion for myself and compassion for others allows me to accept people the way they are. It doesn't mean if they're doing something bad that's hurting others, you have to think that's okay. But understanding where it might come from actually gives you some compassion for them. So mine was unstoppable, compassionate, and enthusiasm. So aspire to live traits. Okay, so you have those that you think of other people. Personally, have you ever thought, oh, I wish I could do that better? Or I know one. My mom was very generous with her time, her effort. So generosity is an aspiring trait that I would like to live by. What do you have for that? That you've thought about yourself and said, I would like to be more like that. And it could be from somebody that you look up to, like my mom. Let's see. What would make you feel happy? What would make you feel fulfilled? What would make you feel satisfied from the inside out? Compassion, joyful effort, loving yourself, self-worth, connection, being open, being authentic, not the outside stuff. The new car is not going to fulfill you for very long. And the new outfit, about the third time you wear it, it's not new anymore. So a lot of outside things that you think might satisfy you that really don't. So those are traits coming from the inside out. Traits from the outside in are fake traits, you know, inauthentic. I love fashion. I love to dress up. I do like nice things. And at the same time, that's not the most important thing to me in my life. Okay. So now we're going to remind ourselves constantly of this. Mind has a memory, like making the new pathways. We have to practice this. Forgive and learn from slips or falling back into patterns. I have 3 more things I want to teach you after this, but let's try to come up with a sentence. So if you can't right now, that's fine. This will be your homework, but I'm going to give you a sentence for myself. I live in gratitude and move in effortless joy for the abundance and wealth of all. When I can say that and show up like that, I'm thinking about you. I'm not just thinking about me. I live in gratitude and effortless joy for abundance and wealth for all. And abundance is a heart abundance. This is abundance in connection. It's abundance in health. It's all of those things that we live in. They could be survival, or you can thrive in them. And I know that's survive or thrive. I want you to be able to thrive from the inside out. Thriving and putting yourself out there in a fun way can change your world. So I want you to write that sentence. And next time you go somewhere, I want you to show up with that. I have it on a little paper, or I have it in my notebook, and then I know I'll read it before I walk in there, because it makes my energy focused. I have an intention. An actor has an intention in a scene. I have an intention to show up authentically myself with these traits, okay? So let's move on to the last 3 things really quick, so I can tell you about all the wonderful things that you're going to get just from listening today. So as your authentic self, these great tips are from improvisation, and they move right into your life and into your business. And the first one is listening. Okay, so where in school did they teach us how to listen? They didn't, did they? So listening is really important. So I call it active listening. As an actor, you have to be curious. You have to be engaged with the other person. So when I told you to listen to people, listen to their conversation. Actively listen. What are they saying? Wow, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. So your mind might be saying that, but you're listening. You're not thinking about what you're, oh my God, I'm going to say this. Oh boy. So you're not really listening to them. Actively listening is really being in the conversation with them and wanting to know what they're saying to you. It's very exciting. You can learn a lot. It might not be what you wanted to learn, but you can learn a lot. So active listening, be in one conversation. Think of that. There's one conversation going on. So there could be 4 people, but it's one conversation. That doesn't mean one person is talking and everybody's listening. You're contributing to a conversation as you all come in, but while the other person is talking, you're not making up a story in your mind to interrupt with, or mine. Mine's more important. Wait till you hear my story. It's so great. We all do this. It's human nature. But step back and listen. I can relate to that. I have a story like that. Can I share it? It's kind of funny. That's a lot easier way to come into a conversation where it's more likely that people will hear you too. Okay, so one conversation. It's like a connected situation, right? So that's really important. And it's something we don't do a lot. It's kind of like a divided thing again. Not right or wrong. Not making the other person wrong. But is a word. You know, this and the but. This and this and this and the but, which will go into the next one. But this is about listening. So there's no right or wrong. What a concept. Listening, accepting, so you don't have to defend your position. How many times have you defended your position on a subject you don't even know? I do that with my husband all the time. Well, this is because, oh, well, this Google Hangout won't work because of this and this and this. And, well, I don't think so because I think it's this, this, and this. We don't even know how to do a Google Hangout because I'm not seeing your faces. But we will argue on something we don't even know. I'm defending myself. I'm defending my false self. I'm defending who I think I need to be. I don't want to defend that. It takes a lot of energy. If I don't believe that, it's all right. If I don't know that, it's okay. So listening to yourself and think, I really don't know anything about that. Maybe I should learn about that so I can share it with you. Stop creating comebacks in your head while other people speak. So I'm sure you have had so many thoughts while I'm up here blabbing. And I do like to hear your thoughts. But right now, it's my turn to speak. I want to hear the things that have come out of this. That's why at the end, I'm going to invite you to have a one-on-one with me for free because I really want to hear what you got out of this. I want to know what I can give you that's better or that you need more or whatever. So it is my time to share, but I want to hear what's on your mind. Live in a win-win world. If I put a lot of buts in there, who's winning? I don't think I'm winning, and you're definitely not winning. But, it's like the buzzer. Wrong. Okay, so win-win is about, wow, live in the moment actively. I was reading something that I wrote earlier, and I said, everybody says live in the moment. Well, who teaches you how to live in the moment? Nobody teaches that either. Acting classes teach you how to live in the moment. Be spontaneous. Learn to be yourself and your authentic self. Living in the moment is something that they took away from us. Because in school you couldn't live in the moment because you had to do what they said. At home you couldn't live in the moment because you're supposed to be quiet and maybe not even seen and heard. How are you supposed to live in the moment? So living in the moment is something that we can learn together through meditation, through improv. But that helps you to listen and not defend from the past. If it is a subject, relationship, or situation you aren't comfortable with, you don't need to make them wrong. You just stay true to yourself, and move on. So an example I have is, wow, I've never heard that before. I've never seen it that way before. That's very interesting. I don't have to agree, do I? I don't have to. And really, it gives me time to think about it because maybe there was a side I didn't see to it. Okay, so that's listening. One whole thing about listening. Now, this is called an improv game called Yes and. Not but, yes, but, yes, but. It's yes and. Okay, so you're going along and you're listening and they say, well, in my business, we deliver everything on paper. Yes, and I understand that. Did you know there's a new way to do that? There's a digital way that you can save all that paper. And I can show you how to link yourself up to that if that's something you're interested. Well, no, I really think the paper thing's working for him. Okay, well, if you ever want to change, that'd be great. I'd love to tell you about it. Did you see how that just flows? But if you say yes, but you're wasting those trees, and you need to do it this way because this is the way we're moving towards, or we're going to kill our children. So it can turn into a big debate because everybody has their opinions on things like that. So yes, and I know everything was done by paper. It's so great that we have other options right now. I get statements online all the time. You know, I get them sent to my email. So have you ever thought about that? So it's just a smooth way to move in it where nobody has to defend themselves. Does that make sense? So that's yes and. That's not yes but. It is a safe place to come from for yourself. It's a safe platform for yourself. You're not putting yourself out there to be ranked on and putting yourself up for them to want to stab or knock down. Do you understand that? If you're in a defensive mode, you're there so they could hit you down. That's not a safe place for you. I don't want you to have to live there. I don't like living there. Okay, so it takes, yes, and I understand, and I'm feeling safe in my body when I say that. It's making a safe container. That's my next note. It makes a safe place that I can come from. I'm grounded, I'm safe, and I'm not making you wrong. It allows more energy and expansion for new ideas, concepts, and resolutions. Because if your conversation ends with a but with a new client or friend, where's your relationship going to go? So yes, I'd love to talk about that again later sometime. So do you see how that opens up an expansion and more space, and the energy can move around? You're still grounded, but the energy is moving. Improv and acting class helps you learn this. Okay, the third one that we're winding up to is make the other guy look good. I want to make you look good. I want to make you feel good. So by making the other guy look good, you actually give yourself a winning position. You're not digging a hole for yourself and putting yourself down in there so they can step on you. Do you understand that? If you're defensive and they're throwing stuff at you, you're falling down this hole that you have to dig yourself out of. But if you make them look good because you're allowing them to be who themselves, that's giving you the platform of feeling good too. Okay, there's win-win, yes, 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 and. It's not yes, but. Allowing others' opinions, concepts, and ideas to flow without blocking them. That means they're seen and heard. So do you see how this is all linked together? Authenticity, moving into your true nature, being safe in your true nature, following your intuition. Then you are seen and heard and allowing people to listen. Say yes and moving in and with expansion and more energy. This is a lot of information, okay? A lot has been put into this one webinar. These are things that can be dissected and taken apart and moved into different things later on. Okay, so let's just go over this real quick. Action to authenticity. I want you to have your traits ready. So the next time you show up, you're going to read your traits confidently, gratefully, joyous effort, living in abundance and wealth for all, for you and for me authentically. So thank you so much for tuning in today. There will be a permanent link that you can come back and see this. The other thing that I'm going to tell you about today is I am partnering up with a wonderful woman, Virginia Wright. She is my social media guru. Social Media Scion is her website, Social Media Scion, and that is available on my website, and I would love for you to email me. After this webinar, if you do email me within a half an hour, I'm testing you, I will give you a free one-on-one. I want to talk about what you gained out of this. I want to hear what your traits are. I want to hear how you're showing up next time with these wonderful traits. I really do. I want to hear about it. The other thing, this is part of a red carpet series that Virginia Wright and I are doing. This was my turn, my Wednesday. Every 2 weeks, we're going to do a webinar or a seminar online for free for you to learn the things that we have to give. As you learn, we will notice who's online with us, and that will give you actually bonuses for a live event that we're having in the fall. So as many of these as you can check in will actually be monies put into the live event that will connect all of these, and you'll actually get to do them experientially. You'll understand it in all of your cells, right? So her next one is going to be in April, and I will have that on my website. I don't have the exact date right now. It's the Wednesday, 2 weeks from today. And I'm so sorry I don't have that date on the tip of my tongue. She is going to look at Vine, Instagram, images, your image. What is your image? It goes right along with this authentic self, because you want to show up online authentic so that the right people can connect with you and get your services, because Virginia wants to see you do well in your business and in your life, and so do I. So Virginia is just a perfect partner for me to work with. Then in May, I'm going to have another one, and mine's going to be on confidence. So we worked on this, and then confidence, we're going to learn action to confidence. We're going to learn how to be confident within ourselves. And then she'll have another one in May. So every 2 weeks on a Wednesday, we will have a, oh, that's right. Hers is going to be on Tuesday next time. That's where I got wrong. So Tuesday in 2 weeks from today, 2 weeks. Yeah, Tuesday. So my apologies for that. For being here today, you also get a free non-actors acting class, and that's April 27th. I do have that date. April 27th, non-actors acting class. Put you improv, in the moment, learning how to be yourself. And like I said, email me before 12:30 today, and then we will get a one-on-one. I love you. I appreciate your time, and you go out there and show up your authentic self and knock them dead, because you're awesome. All right. Thank you so much. Linda Burden-Williams, In Focus, Camera Acting and Production. Virginia Wright, Social Media Scion. That's SCION.com. Bye.